The first question we get asked all the time is, so how do you do the kids and how do you get the big heads and everything? And we have to explain, even to our friends, and actually we had to even explain to our own families that this isn't South Park. This is something completely outside of that we've been working on for almost half the time we've been doing South Park, 5 years. It's not the boys, it's not about the town, it's live actors and a completely different storyline.
I think we've talked about it since we started working together, and the first movie we did was Cannibal the Musical, which was a musical. Then we did Orgasmo, which should have been a musical.
It was supposed to be a musical. We actually wrote it as a musical, but then people giving us the money for it were like, "This, you can't make this a musical."
But we've always been into musicals, and I think it was just kind of destined to happen that we would go to Broadway.
It is kind of the big ultimate sort of final dream for me, because I've been trying to force musicals into everything. So I'm really, the two bigger, more mainstream movies we've done, which was South Park and Team America, really were both musicals. And even with Team America, that had no business being a musical, I kind of forced it into being a musical still, and wrote a bunch of songs for it and put music into it. So I really love the musical side of everything. Whenever we have a song in South Park, I love it. So,
we've been sneaking it in for years. Now we're just actually saying, all right, we're doing a musical.
We're finally going to admit it's a musical.
When we were doing Team America, Scott Rudin told us, well, there's this puppet show going on Broadway called Avenue Q. And so we went and saw it, and we both loved it. And for me, it was probably one of my favorite Broadway shows I've ever seen.
Matt and Trey came to see Avenue Q, and I went up to them at intermission and said, I got to take you out for a drink afterwards. They really liked the show. And we went to the bar across the street and just got to talking about shows, and it turned out that they were really interested in Broadway.
We said, so what are you going to do next? What's your next project?
I was thinking about doing something, the Book of Mormon, the musical, or something about Joseph Smith.
And we were like, what? Because we're the only two people that have ever talked about that. I mean, no one ever, because we've talked about that since we met when, in college. 20 years ago, wow, what would make a great musical is this story of the Mormons.
There's a really fascinating thing that happens with Mormons, which is that with a lot of Mormons, when you turn 18, you go on your mission. So it's a lot like, when we graduate from high school and you go off to college or you do your thing. It's just a built-in coming-of-age story, because you're these kids, and in our instance, there's these two kids that live in Salt Lake City that are suddenly paired together, don't really know each other, and they're sent off to Africa, across the world, into a place that is far from Salt Lake City as they can get, trying to instill everything they've learned into people who are dealing with poverty and war and AIDS and all of that.
Your religion is there to solve these problems for you, and then you go someplace like Sub-Saharan Africa. Now it's take those same lessons and have them solve some of these problems, and you realize you have nothing in your toolkit. That's what our main characters deal with when they get to Africa, that they've given this toolkit, and it's I don't know what the hell to do here,
I'm sure the Mormons will embrace this absolutely 100%. They're going to give us things. They're going to send us letters of love. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.